Hey guys, it's Mr. Cooney here to talk about what is going to be involved in your outline assignment. Okay, so I'm just about to drop this, and we've got this series of requirements here to make sure. I think we should know most of these things, but make sure and understand everything you need to do to get full credit, since it's a 30-point writing grade, and this should have you very ready to make your final draft if you do all this completely. So you want to turn your complete outline here by the date. We have this attachment here that you have seen before. For some reason, it will not let me do the every student gets his or her own copy. So you'll need to make your own copy of that, no big deal, but just in case you end up otherwise emailing me asking for access, you need to make a copy on this one. All right, so for full credit on this assignment, you want to paraphrase how you'll use an opening device strategy to start your paper. You want to write your thesis out completely with a blueprint that corresponds to your body paragraphs. You want to write topic sentences out completely, pretty much all through it. You want to write complete sentences. And the more you do that, like more than one sentence when you're getting to your commentary and stuff like that, the more you've basically already written your paper. Okay, but I want to see it on the way. Write topics to sentence out. 4, use at least one full sentence in each box in the body paragraphs. That is to introduce, give a quote, and then comment on it. Include parenthetical references for each quote, and I'll show you what those look like. It's pretty simple. Write out a restated thesis completely in the conclusion. Make it a little different now that you've proven your points. You can say, as is obvious from the evidence above, or some kind of transition like that to lead into it. And then finally, paraphrase your closing device idea. And I will be putting an attachment on this assignment that gives you opening and closing device ideas, as well as show you a couple examples on this pretty ideal example here. So let's switch over to that, and I'll kind of flash back and forth to show that this one is doing each one of these things. So the first one is paraphrase how you'll see an opening device strategy to start your paper and write your thesis out completely. Okay, so looking at this paper from last year, or a couple of years ago, I guess, actually, it is on opioids. Okay, so what do we have in the opening device? You've just been prescribed opioids by a doctor. At first, they are a great help. However, as time goes on, you find yourself taking more than what the doctor said. You can't stop, and now before you know it, you're addicted. Okay, it's in second person, which I'm not crazy about, but it's a pretty well done, put the reader in the shoes of the victim, kind of hypothetical anecdote, we'll call it, right? Brings the reader in without a whole bunch of facts, but something more, I guess we can call it entertaining, in a dark kind of way, foreboding kind of way, to stress the importance of the issue. And the thesis, the prescription of opioids by doctors is a crucial problem. Okay, there's your problem, right? Your claim, because the patient can end up misusing the opioids. There's one point, getting too dependent on them, even overdose. Okay, getting too dependent on them, second, and even overdose, third. This is why doctors should use alternatives instead. Okay, so they kind of tacked on something there to the end. All right, what else do we want to see? Write out topic sentences, use at least one full sentence in each box in the body paragraph, and include parenthetical references for each quote. So you're looking at these things that have to do with the body of the paper now. Okay, topic sentence. There are many reasons why doctors prescribing opioids is a huge problem. Here we go. There have been many deaths. Gives a quote here. There's your parenthetical reference. So when you close a quote, okay, now there is a ellipses here showing that there's more to the sentence, okay, but otherwise closing the quote, no other punctuation after, one space, then in parentheses the last name of the author, and in the actual paper you would put a period at that point after. Okay, if you don't get it exactly right here, I'm not going to be terribly upset, but make an effort to go ahead and try to get that correct. If they're actually not putting the period in the right place, this should be over here. This isn't absolutely perfect. And then commentary. This statement shows that many people died from using prescription opioids, not for medical purposes in Cincinnati. It's shockingly high number and shows that using opioids is dangerous and possibly life-threatening for the user. There's great adjectives in there. They're really getting across the idea that it is a dramatic problem. Then he goes on to the next point. Opioids aren't the right treatment for some people. We have a quote here. There's a parenthetical reference from one of the sources there. And then she gives plenty more commentary there. Okay, next paragraph. Do we have a topic sentence? Yes, opioids can affect a person negatively. First point, a person can get too dependent on opioids. Gives a quote here. Now here, the parenthetical reference looks a little bit different. It's basically whatever comes first in your works cited entry. Okay, sometimes there's not an author, and if there's not, then whatever comes next, usually the title of the article, maybe in some cases the title of a website, however EasyBib puts it, whatever comes first is what goes in that parenthetical reference. And then notice with her commentary here, she's writing like 2 or 3 sentences. So she's really got that rough draft basically done. Goes to a second point. Okay, you're seeing the sequence, right? Third body paragraph, doctors should use alternatives instead of opioids. And it moves on through the same pattern. Now here in the fourth body paragraph, others believe that opioids are the right treatment and are necessary. And then she goes through the same sequences and refuting those opposing arguments, okay? Same thing, every quote has a parenthetical reference. All we mean by parenthetical is in parentheses. Reference means a reference to one of your sources. And again, full sentences in every box. The rough draft is essentially written. And then we get to the end, okay, the last 2 things we want to see: write out your restated thesis completely, which should be a little different now that you prove your points, and paraphrase your closing idea. Doctors shouldn't prescribe opioids because the patient can end up abusing them, becoming too reliant on them, and even end up dying from them. Instead, they should use other methods. That might be pretty much mostly the same. Okay, and I'm not going to be terribly fussy there, but you want to maybe kind of try to start that, like I said before, with some kind of transition. It's obvious from the evidence above, as shown above, as demonstrated above in the previous paragraphs, something like that. Closing device. What does she use? Opioids aren't a problem just in Cincinnati. They're a problem that the whole nation faces. So she broadens out, and then it is reported that more than 72,000 Americans died from opioid-related overdoses in 2017. That is, of course, a startling statistic, and that is a great thing to leave your reader with a memory of, because it's a pretty jarring number, right? All right, so there's your ideal example of an outline. Contact me if any of that is confusing to you, and I will have the devices handout attached to this. That'll help you a little bit more. Okay, ending here. Do a good job. Get a good grade on the outline. 30-point rating grade. Bye-bye.